Liked Christmas much. Too bright, too loud, too full of forced smiles. But that year, December felt unusually empty. I lived alone in a small apartment, working late shifts, barely speaking to anyone. So when I woke up on Christmas morning and saw a neatly wrapped present at my door, I froze. I didn't order anything, I didn't expect anyone, and I definitely didn't have any friends who would surprise gifts at dawn. The tag simply said, "To you, my favorite person, from Santa." I laughed at first, a joke, a prank maybe, a wrong delivery, but curiosity pulled harder than caution. I carried the box inside and placed it on the coffee table. The wrap was thick, almost old-fashioned, with patterns of tiny kids building snowmen. I opened it slowly. Inside was a snow globe, large, heavy, and cold like ice. But what was inside the globe made my skin crawl. It wasn't a cute town or Santa scene. It was my apartment building, the exact replica. Every detail, the crooked balcony rail, the rusted stairs, even the yellow stain on the third floor window where someone tried to paint over graffiti. My heart thumped. I turned the globe upside down and shook it. When I placed it back on the table, I noticed something new. Inside the tiny model, in the window of my unit, was me. A tiny figurine lying in my bed. I swallowed hard. "That is impossible," I whispered. I checked the base for some trick or camera. Nothing. When I looked again, the miniature version of me inside the snow globe opened its eyes. It looked directly at me. I stumbled back so fast I hit the chair. My breath shivered in the air. The figurine's tiny head turned a little, following my movement. Its tiny mouth moved too, opening and closing like it was trying to speak through the glass. Then the radio suddenly flicked on by itself. A soft static filled the room, followed by a slow voice. "He sees you when you are sleeping." I unplugged the radio. The static, it didn't stop, it continued. I rushed to the snow globe, ready to smash it, but my reflection stopped me. Behind me, in the real window, something moved. A shadow, tall, still, watching. My blood went cold. I snapped the curtains shut. The radio continued humming in a strange, childlike tune. The figurine inside the snow globe now stood beside my bed. Instead of lying in it, I hadn't touched the globe. "No," I whispered, "this isn't real. It can't be real." But the snow inside swirled on its own, thickening, spinning like a storm inside the glass. Then the globe shook violently, and a sharp crack ran across the side. A whisper escaped from it, clear, soft, childish. "Let me out. I am your only friend." Yes, I wanted friends. I didn't want to spend Christmas alone, but not in this way. I do not want this thing to be my friend. I grabbed the globe, ran to the kitchen, and slammed it into the sink. It cracked again, but did not break. I struck it over and over until finally the glass shattered. But instead of water, instead of snow, cold air blew out. A freezing gust that smelled like pine, iron, and something like old breath. Behind me, the radio voice shifted. "Now he knows you are awake." I spun around. Standing in the living room was a tall figure wearing a red coat. Not bright red, but dark, like it was soaked in something that never washed out. His beard was long but tangled. His eyes sunk deep like two burnt holes in snow. He smiled at me, a cold, thin smile. I stepped back, shaking. "Who are you?" He tilted his head slowly. "You opened your gift," he said in a whisper that felt like frost in my ear. "Now open mine." He lifted something, another snow globe. Inside it was my apartment again, but this time the tiny figure wasn't in the bed. It was standing at the window, watching me. "Stay away," I shouted. He didn't. He simply placed one long finger on the snow globe and tapped it. The world flickered. I felt myself falling, not to the floor, not into the darkness, but into cold glass. When I opened my eyes, I was tiny. I had transformed, frozen, trapped inside the snow globe. Outside the glass, the tall man stared in, smiling. He gently lifted the globe and carried it toward the door. Before he left, he whispered, "Happy Christmas." The door closed behind him, and I'm still here, a tiny figure in endless winter, waiting for whoever finds the next box. Can anyone help me escape this? Please, I want out. I cannot live like this forever. Christmas Eve snowstorms are normal, where I live at least, but that night felt different. The sky looked bruised, the wind screamed like it was angry, and I was stupid enough to be driving home through it. The road was empty, my car heater barely worked, snow kept swallowing the headlights. I leaned forward, wiping condensation from the glass, when something large darted across the road. I didn't even have time to hit the brake. Thud. The car jolted, my chest slammed into the steering wheel, my heart dropped. Please be okay, whoever it is. Or whatever it is. I stepped out into the blizzard, shivering. Thick snowflakes slapped my face. The night smelled of pine and cold metal. I followed the long red smear in the snow until I found the creature. At first, I thought I'd hit a deer, but then I saw the bells attached to the antler, golden bells with strange symbols. Its fur was dark, almost black. Its hooves were cracked and sharp like stone, and its eyes, even half closed, glowed faintly red. A reindeer, but not like any reindeer I'd ever seen. Its sides rose weakly. It was alive. I crouched beside it. "I'm so sorry, I'll get help." As I reached for it, the creature's head snapped toward me. I froze. Its voice wasn't a sound, it was a whisper inside my mind. "Finish the route." I stumbled back. "What?" The creature struggled to stand, one leg twisted wrong, but it didn't seem to care. It walked toward me, its breath steaming in long clouds. "Finish the route or he will come." I backed toward my car. Who will come? The creature's cracked jaw opened slightly. "The one you call Santa." A hollow bell rang somewhere in the forest. Once. Twice. The reindeer stepped closer. "You took Dasher from the path. Now you carry his burden." "I hit you. I didn't mean to," I shouted. The creature's eyes glowed brighter. "Intent is nothing. A route must be finished by any means necessary." Suddenly, a leather sack dropped from the sky with a heavy thud beside my feet. It was old, torn, moving. Something shifted inside it. "No," I whispered. "I'm not delivering anything." The forest answered with a deep rumbling growl, not an animal sound, something bigger, ancient. The reindeer leaned its huge head toward me. If you don't deliver them, he will, and you will regret it. The sack rustled. A small hand, a child's hand, pressed against the inside. I stumbled backward. What is this? The reindeer's breath clouded around me. Names that must be taken tonight. The bells on its antler jingled as a wind I couldn't feel swept past. I looked into the forest. A shadow stood between the trees. At first, I thought it was a pine trunk until it moved, slowly, purposefully. The reindeer hissed, smiled. He arrives. I grabbed the sack without thinking. My body ran before my mind caught up. I threw myself into the car, tossed the sack in the back seat. It whimpered and sped down the road. Behind me, I heard hooves and something heavier. The shadow moved alongside the road, keeping pace with me, running, chasing. I drove to the nearest house on the list pinned to the sack, a name written in strange symbols next to it. The house lights were off. The world was silent. I carried the sack to the front door, shaking. What am I even delivering? The sack suddenly grew lighter. Something crawled out, a faint outline, child-sized but wrong. Thin like smoke with hollow eyes, it drifted to the door and phased through the wood. Inside, a man screamed. I ran. House after house, the same horror repeated. Whispers, crawling shadows, names disappearing from the list. By the fourth house, I was crying, begging for this to stop. I don't want to do this anymore, please. But the bells rang again, closer now. He was approaching. Finally, I reached the last house on the list, my own. I fell to my knees. No, no, please, stop. The reindeer stepped out of the darkness, limping, eyes burning like coals. The route ends where the guilt began. Behind it, the shadow approached. Red coat, long arms, a smile carved too wide. Santa, but not the kind we always imagine. Not jolly, not kind, a collector. I shook my head. Why me? The reindeer answered simply, because you looked. The final name on the list glowed. My name. The sack opened by itself. Something cold reached out, and I understood too late. They weren't deliveries, they were pickups. I screamed as the sack pulled me in. Heavy, cold, endless. And you know what the last things and the last words were that I heard? A soft whisper saying, "Jingle bells." I grew up in a tiny northern town called Winter's Crest. People said it was cozy, peaceful, old-fashioned, but to me, it always felt watched. I moved away when I was 18 and never planned to return, but this year, after a long, lonely stretch, something pulled me back for Christmas, a quiet ache for childhood memories, I guess. My parents were gone, but the house still stood, cold, silent, waiting. When I arrived, the whole town looked strange, stranger than before. Every house was decorated, sure, but the lights were dimmer, the wreaths were darker, the snow looked wrong, simply wrong, like it had been sifted through ashes. And then I remembered, December 25th in Winter's Crest wasn't like anywhere else. We didn't celebrate Christmas, we celebrated the keeping, a ritual older than the town itself. I had forgotten about it. Or maybe I had forced myself to forget. Around 10 p.m., I heard the first bell, a deep, slow toll that echoed across the snow. I stepped outside, my breath hanging in white clouds. People in dark coats walked toward the frozen lake with candles in their hands. No one smiled, no one spoke, just like childhood. I followed them, though my gut told me not to. The lake sat at the edge of the forest, black and frozen smooth. At the center lay a massive stone slab, half buried in ice. The town formed a circle around it. Then the mayor stepped forward. His face had aged, but his voice was unchanged. On this night, he said softly, "We keep the old promise." I shivered. That line lived somewhere in my oldest memories. Then the crowd turned their candles toward the slab. A low rumble passed under my feet. I stepped back. What is that? No one answered. The ice cracked as something moved beneath it. Something huge, something breathing. My chest tightened. The mayor continued, "One must return below so the rest may live above." People turned to look at each other, quiet, tense, until their eyes finally settled on me. The outsider. Who else? Obviously, the one who had left. The one who broke the tradition. "No," I whispered. "No, I didn't agree to this. I didn't come here for this." The eyes split open. A wide black gap yawned at the center of the slab, exhaling warm, rotten air. The candles flickered violently. From the darkness below came a slow scraping sound, claws against stone. I stumbled back, but several hands grabbed my arms. "Let me go. What are you doing? This isn't right." The mayor looked at me with sad eyes. "You left, child. The pact weakens when one born here walks away." The gap widened. Something pale began climbing out. Long limbs, jointed wrong, covered in hanging strips of frozen flesh. Its head was smooth, eyeless, with a permanent grin carved across it. A keeper. I remembered stories my grandmother whispered. They sleep beneath the town. On Christmas night, we remind them we are still loyal. The creature crawled onto the ice, its grin stretching impossibly wide when it heard me scream. The mayor nodded to the others. "Give it, the one who broke the cycle." I kicked and thrashed, tears freezing on my cheeks. "I'm one of you. I grew up here. That's why you were chosen," the mayor whispered. The keeper dragged its long fingers toward me, tapping the ice like testing a meal. Then something shifted. The creature stopped. It sniffed, turned, and looked somehow at the mayor instead. A gust of hot air blew upward from the gap as a second keeper climbed out, then a third. The crowd backed away in terror. "What is happening? Someone, please tell us what is happening." The mayor fell to his knees. "We offered the sacrifice. Take it and leave us." But the largest keeper stepped forward, towering above all of us, and it spoke. Its voice was a scraping whisper that shook the ice. "One is not enough anymore." The ground cracked. The entire frozen lake sagged. Screams burst everywhere. I ran, slipping across the cracking ice as the keepers rose higher and higher, pulling themselves from the depths like pale giants. The fissure widened beneath the mayor, swallowing him and several others into blackness. I didn't look back, kept running. I ran until the screams faded, until the bells fell silent, until the town lights disappeared behind me. I reached the highway just as the first keeper stepped onto land. Its whisper carried through the wind. "The promise is broken. I keep driving now, south anywhere, but every night since, no matter where I go, I hear a slow scraping beneath the floorboards, growing closer. They are coming for the one who left. Will they ever leave me alone? And I don't think I can outrun them forever.